Okay, so I thought that today what I would do is I'd go through and just kind of go through the video and talk a little bit about some of my choices, I guess, some of my design choices, and just go through the process, of building something like this. Um, it's just going to be the same video clip that the original video was. In fact, this isn't even me talking. This is me literally watching that video. But yeah, maybe in the future we'll get some in-game commentary. But this time around, I thought I'd just kind of have a detached voice that talks you through things and occasionally makes stupid jokes and yeah, all that fun stuff. Well, let's get into it. So the first thing you're gonna notice when we get into the actual clip is that everything everything I build starts out being made out of like diamond blocks and gold blocks and lapis, emerald, redstone, netherite, a lot of the really kind of gaudy blocks. And the big reason that I do this is just it's easier for me to count the numbers of blocks because a lot of them have those nice well-defined lines that separate them out. I'm just gonna pause this for a second. So it lets me easily get an idea of how many blocks are in a stack, or a tower, rather, a pillar of them. The other thing that's nice about the blocks is that I play entirely in creative mode with access to world edit and other commands. It turns out that the word diamond block and words like gold block and emerald block, you only really need to type 2 or 3 of the letters. DIA is enough, and world edit has a function where it will autofill the rest of the name with anything that starts with DIA. Turns out that of all the things that start with DIA, the first one in the list is diamond block. So it makes it really easy to use commands because I can just autofill the names of the blocks in. Whereas if I were using something like concrete or wool, I'd type the word red, right? But what would end up happening is, it wouldn't be, there's just like 20 or 30 different blocks that start with the word red. Red stone, red bed, red banner, red wool, red concrete, right? So that just, I don't know. I think it's mostly just because I'm very lazy, but it works, it works. That's what's important. Let's see. Also, we go back a little bit in this clip. Right here. You see here at the very beginning that I placed down all these little blocks along this edge right here. And the reason that I'm doing that is really just to see how I can subdivide this wall. I like doing things in sections. I like sectioning things out. So having, like sections where each section gets a window and a little window box, or these are pillars that support, in this case, they are pillars that support a little porch, patio, I'm not sure what the difference is. So being able to spread those out evenly is sometimes important. It's hard to do, just because, the side lengths of these buildings end up being kind of semi-random some of the time. So here I'm just going through and checking my way to a complete answer. Eventually I'll fill those pillars in. I don't know when exactly. Yeah, so I also decided I needed a porch on this thing, so that's what I've gone ahead and put some space in the beginning. Also, this building is like a pentagonal floor plan. I mean, look at this crazy shape. It's not even a nice pentagon. Yeah, there's nothing I could do about it. It was very challenging though, working, because this corner of the building, I hope you can see my mouse, but this corner of the building right here is built on the straightaway, right? 2 flat sides, and then 3 diagonal sides. These 2 are parallel, but this one's, at a 90-degree angle. So it's just, the whole thing works, but it was definitely more challenging to get everything squared away than I anticipated it being. You can also see here that I'm filling in some parts of the floor to try and get an idea of where like the different shop fronts are going to end up being. So we've got 3 that are kind of on the front of the building, and obviously these are all just ground floor shops as well. And then we've got 2 that are sort of attached on the back, and I think that, you know, I'll connect them to this little road in the back way. Those would be less, you know, less prime real estate, I guess, is what you might describe them as. Yeah. Let's see. Doing this front porch roof. Again, I use slabs because they don't make diamond slabs or gold block slabs. I use oak slabs because oak is another one of those words. 3 letters, very easy to spell. There are a lot of oak things, but it turns out that oak slabs are one of the first things that pops up when you type the word oak. Yes, I am very lazy. Okay, we've got a little bit of a cut. You can see I put in all the lapis blocks. I also built a little I don't know what you want to call it, like an archway, I guess, off to the side. That's going to connect into the building next door. I like having those little like, raised hallways, I guess, that connect buildings together. I also decided to make this building 3 stories tall instead of 2 like I originally planned. The 3rd story, just this sort of central... I keep calling it a tower. I don't know if it's really a tower. I think I'm just calling it a tower because it's a circle. But it needs to be tall. It was looking a little bit too much like a can of, you know, dog food or something. It just needed to be taller so it wasn't so squat. Yeah, once again, joining up the different edges and stuff to try and figure out how things fit together. I ended up dividing this building into kind of 2 arms. I'm calling them arms, but 2 kind of point arms that break off of that main cylinder, and then just a little flat area in the back. You'll see in a little bit. We'll put just a little slab roof on there. Nothing too fancy. Let's see. See if I had any other thoughts I was supposed to. I've got a you guys can't see. I'm pointing at it on my screen, but I've got a whole list of things I thought of while watching the video. So I just want to make sure there's nothing important that I'm leaving out. Nope, nothing crazy so far. Talked about it being a 3-story building. This. So you'll notice that in a couple of seconds here, I'm gonna stand still for a really long time. This video is sped up 8 times speed, and I'm here for like a full minute, which is a full 8 minutes of AFK. And literally this entire time, I'm sitting there with my calculator, and I've got Microsoft Paint open, and I'm trying to fill in pixels and figure out how this whole thing is gonna fit together and how to get it to work. It's so challenging. But hey, you know, you thought you'd never use math in real life, right? Well, here you go. You can use math all the time if you just build crazy Minecraft buildings. So there you go. This back wall gave me like a lot of issues. It connects to the straightaway section of this building in a really strange way, and the length of the diagonal wall is just, it's a weird length. So I don't know. I found it very challenging to figure out how to break it up with the big pillar in the middle. Yeah, this is, I believe, we're getting pretty close to the part where I was trying so hard. I spent so much time trying to figure out like a cool roof design for this little back roof. I considered doing like a big open sitting area. I thought maybe like like a flat roof with some trellises, hanging plants and stuff. Ultimately, I decided the best way to go about things is just to slab it. Just put a slab. And honestly, I think things actually came out pretty well. I was a little worried that the slab roof would be a little bit boring at the beginning, but I actually think that, by the end of it, I think it actually came out really nice. It's got a good I don't know. It's nice to have something so simple and predictable in a build where everything else is just so wild and crazy. This roof on top of here was a little bit weird because, like I said, there's those two arms of the building. So you've got the straight part and the diagonal part. And I needed a roof design that I could copy on both the straight part and the diagonal part, and where it would look pretty good. So I went with, I think they call this a mansard roof design, or mansard, I don't know.
Mansard.
Huh. So that's how you pronounce it. It's not an American word, that's for sure. Maybe it is, I don't know. Don't know things. But yeah, just kind of the boxy roof with a little bit of a flat part. Here. Alright, let's back up the clip a little bit. So here, I use a command to try and fill in that last flat part at the top of the roof. And I fail at it, not once, not twice, but 4 times before I get it right. And it's all captured in all its glory. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There it goes. Okay, so fun thing about this clip. This was actually recorded on a different day than that first clip. And if you look closely in the background, you can see this, and you'll see it more as the camera pans around, but this whole cliff and all these bushes, these were not here in the last clip. So yeah, this section is more or less just me filling in the walls and starting to add some actual color. The city of Waeldstone, which is where this build is, I don't know if I mentioned that, but the city we're building is called Waeldstone. And the general color palette that we've been using has been a lot of sandstone, a lot of copper in the various stages of oxidation, and then what's the other? Oh, kind of teal blocks, or cyan, so prismarine, warped wood, that sort of thing. So you'll see in a minute here, I'll go through and start adding some color. I think I do the pillars first. I knew that, oh no, okay. Here's where we do the dome roof. You can see that in order to make domes for my domed roofs, I cheat a little bit. I don't actually build a half dome because that's a lot of work. Instead, I use a command to generate a full sphere, hollow, and then I cut it in half and copy and paste it into place. In this case, you can see that I did all of that, except this half circle is too big, and so it looks ridiculous. From the angle that I'm at, I couldn't actually tell that it was off center. It was the wrong size until Richard, who was helping me build, pointed it out, and I had to go fix it. So we'll see that in a second. But hey, we get there in the end. I also try to add like a, little fiddly bit on the top. It just didn't end up working, so I think eventually I do replace it with a flagpole, which actually ends up being a great idea. Maybe one of the better ideas I've had. Completely on accident, but works out. We like happy accidents around here. But yeah, so I knew that the roof of this building was going to end up being a gradient of some sort. Maybe a copper gradient or cyan. And the big question that I had was, what do I do with the pillars and what do I do with the walls? So I knew the trim and the pillars, just given the colors that we see a lot in this city, I was going for sandstone. So you'll see that we've got sandstone pillars. Eventually the trim on the roof and the trim around the building ends up being sandstone as well, although I don't realize that immediately. And then the last thing is really just figuring out the color of the walls. And what I realized eventually is that I wanted to go for kind of a reddish, brownish, orangish palette. So I ended up doing bricks and granite. They go well with sandstone, and it also brings in some of that orange color that helps tie it in with the coppery bricks that we've got. I think it does a really great job of, this build has all the different colors of Waeldstone, but in a way where it's not super obvious, and I kind of like that. So you can see here I've added a palette. I don't like this one. It's hard to see from this angle and from this distance. It's too busy. There's like 15 different blocks. It's just too many. So I start to refine it, narrow it down to the blocks that I really want. And eventually I get it right here. And then I go ahead and just fill the rest of the building in. Kind of wild how much difference it makes when your building is actually made out of, you know, real blocks instead of diamond. Crazy that way. But yeah, the little slab roofs on the porch with the patio, I still don't know what the right word is, but you can see right there. I knew I wanted them to be that same kind of cyan color, but I didn't want to do an actual dark to light gradient. It just seemed like too much for such a simple little roof. But when I started pasting in the palette just as noise, I realized that some of the blocks, because it was a gradient from dark to light, were just too dark. So I ended up switching them out for this, which is all more or less the same color. This nice little transition. This part was really fun to do. I love doing gradients, and especially on these kind of big square roofs, there's so much space, and you can get such a nice smooth transition of color. So we go from cyan terracotta to dark prismarine, warped planks, oxidized copper, then weathered copper, and then we wrap things up with prismarine bricks. Oh no, prismarine and then prismarine bricks. And it's wild to me how much of a difference just changing the roof color makes. And this building felt so solemn with that netherite roof, that dark gray color. But once the green comes in, it's totally different. It's really cool to watch. Because over the course of, like 30 seconds here, you get to watch just the character of the building just turn on his head. This is such a beautiful gradient. Definitely one of my favorite pieces. I'm so glad they added the different variations of copper, and I'm so excited for the new copper blocks we're getting in the next update. Yeah, look at that. It's just a completely different thing now. It's just wild. But yeah, let's see here. This is the part after I finish. Richard helps me put some little decorative knobbly bits on the roof. But I realized at this point that the trim around the roof and around the building wasn't made out of sandstone, so I'm going through and I'm fixing that. You can also see that I speed the video up a little bit as it rounds the back of the building so that you don't have to look at the ugly, unfinished back of the building, and I don't have to look at the unfinished back of the building. I like this part, though, where you can watch me work my way around the roof, and then in a second, you'll watch me work my way around this second row, all while this camera is kind of moving around the building. Look at that. I don't know why. It just gets me. It makes me smile every time. Kind of silly. Yeah, even with commands, this whole build took about 7 hours, broken up over 2 days, and that doesn't include... I never did finish the back of this building or add any interior. That's kind of my next... the next on my list of things to do. So 7 hours just for basically the front facade and the roof and stuff. Kind of crazy. A lot of effort goes into this stuff. But certainly things like the replay mod make it easier. Let's see. But yeah, go ahead and do all the trim. Looks much better with the trim being sandstone. And now it's kind of time where I can go through and start kind of adding some details. Start to really get down to the nitty gritty. And now that I've completed the base layout and the base shape. But yeah, we're around the back of the building again, and unfortunately, because I did this whole dizzying camera spirals around the build replay, there's a little bit of building that we'll miss out on, but I promise it's nothing too crazy. No! God! No, I'm just trying to build! Leave me alone! That's exactly how it went. That's pretty much all you're missing. Just me changing those things, speed up the camera a little bit so that we don't have to watch it. But yeah. Wait as it comes back around. Oh man. I probably should have just cut out the portions of the video where I'm just staring at this blank back wall, but hindsight's 2020. But now for my favorite part, where we take all these pillars, these 10 million pillars that I've built, and take them all and turn them into arches, which is much more beautiful than just pillars. So essentially what this entails is just a lot of placing stairs. It's a lot of stairs, a lot of slabs, a lot of trapdoors to try and get nice rounded arches as much as possible. I think I've also added a few frog lights into the pillars just to provide a little bit of light. In a second here, we'll add some windows. I think so. Actually, that might be the next time we come around the building. I think we actually might just continue doing pillars for right now. Pillars take a long time, especially the diagonal ones. You know, the straight ones are pretty simple because you just put a stair on either side and forms two nice little arches. You can't place diagonal stairs really though. So I had to get a little creative with that. But I think it came out pretty well. You know, I mean, the end goal was for the two flat sides of the front of the building to look similar. And I think that we accomplished that, at least in some way. There we go. So these window designs are really neat. It's a design I've stolen from Richard, who does beautiful windows. And essentially, you're making use of hoppers and cauldrons, which are two blocks that, as a creative builder, you almost never use. You can see we place them in there, and the side profile of the hoppers and then the little opening at the bottom of the cauldron forms this really nice little arch that you can fit into window spaces as small as 2 blocks wide, which is just crazy. Also, because hoppers are sort of symmetrically shaped, all around, it means that you can do the same thing with diagonal windows, and they look very similar. It's, you can't really tell them apart, which is kind of just a really neat thing. Yeah, you'll see these windows on everything I build because they're fantastic. Richard is a genius. Richard is a genius. Let's see. Oh, and then that layer of slabs. Let's go back for a second. So in a second, I'm about to add a layer of slabs up here around the roof. And for some reason, I don't know what it is, but adding that layer of slabs just really made things. It just fixed so much that I was struggling with this build. Sometimes it's the simple stuff, and I honestly don't even know why. But doesn't that just look way better than it does without the layer of slabs? I don't know. Building is hard. Sometimes you do something right and you don't even know why you've done something right. Yeah. Here you can see kind of. Thankfully, the camera kind of goes around the back of the building while I'm doing this. But I thought that the front of this tower needed like a statue or something. And I kind of imagined like a statue, like a stone statue of like a gargoyle or something that kind of protruded from the front of the building. So that's what I'm trying to build. You can see me doing it. It did not go well. Yeah, it turns out that like a block built statue it's just not going to fit. There's not enough space. So I ended up doing a fancy armor stand one. It works. But yeah, it's crazy. Panning around the back of the building again. I think that pretty much all that's left though is just lighting things up. Like I go through and add some nice lanterns and stuff. Some more little details. I had some flower boxes to the front area along the street. I think I built a little fountain down there, like a horse watering trough, but just kind of off camera. There's my fancy armor stand. He's holding a block of raw copper and a pickaxe. But yeah, just finishing up some windows, adding some last minute details. I believe I start working on the flag producing too. And that was sort of a surprise. I really originally had no intention of doing a flagpole, but I needed something on top of the dome, and I don't know, just felt like a flagpole moment, and I'm really glad I did. The flag came out really nice. I had to make it a little bit taller, but look at that. Also, I'm sorry, the camera is going to glitch through the top of the building. Sort of an accident. Yeah, look at that flag. Isn't that gorgeous? I love the way it ripples and the fact that it's, I don't know much about flags, but I did the kind of flag with the two little pointy bits at the end. The flag design, the colors of the flag and everything will probably not stay. My plan is eventually when Waeldstone has its own official flag, I'll go ahead and put that one in. Also, say goodbye to the back of the build. This is the last time that you will see it go by. Bye. Goodbye, back of the build. I'm sorry I didn't finish you, but I will eventually, probably, maybe. I'll finish the back of it.
He did, in fact, not finish it later.
Or I'll find an excuse to not finish the back of it by putting another building up against it or something. I don't know. But yeah, that's pretty much it. For anyone who is still here, they're listening to like 20 minutes of me making really poor quality jokes and watching my own video. Congrats, you made it. You have successfully completed Astro's video watching extravaganza part 1. There we go. That's beautiful. But yeah, anyway, hope you enjoyed, or maybe you learned something, or I don't know, maybe drop a comment, let me know if you liked it, if you want to see more like this, or if you never want to hear me do this again. That would also be useful and constructive criticism. Might make me cry a little bit, but that's okay. That's a little tears in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, I think it came out really well. I really like this building. Gonna have to fill in the interior at some point. It's gonna be probably a little bit painful, but well, you'll be there to watch me do it. Hey, there's the fountain. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good day.